Now, when we get to our own Bill of Rights, understand that the commonly held notion that the Christian faith had no impact or very little upon the formation of our Constitution and Bill of Rights, just remember that there are people that believe that, and unfortunately, we're not a well-taught, a well-schooled people in our churches. However, the English Bill of Rights of 1689 is the predecessor document. Now, you can imagine Christians in England and many other commoners claiming to be Christian rose up and demanded that their rights, hence the English Bill of Rights, their rights be protected. In fact, they invented many of their rights from the scriptures, from their pulpits. They demanded to be protected in their properties and their persons. Imagine life without that. Now, arguably, many don't realize that the predecessor, we talk about our Bill of Rights, and we should, but it's derived from the English Bill of Rights. For example, the right to petition your government for redress of grievance without the government retaliating against you was embedded in that English Bill of Rights. The Second Amendment, we hear a lot about the Second Amendment. You want to realize the predecessor document was from, almost word for word, in fact, the English Bill of Rights, the English version of what became ours later on, a century later. And there are other such rights as well. The right to associate. Now, the right of worship wasn't quite as well protected. It was protected in the English version. But they had a state church, and they had all kinds of problems with that. Our forefathers got rid of a state church. And we have to understand that between the two Bill of Rights, two different versions, there was this issue of a state church that had to be dealt with. That's one of the reasons why our forefathers were so careful about the use of religious language. Now, we'll get to that. We'll see what our founding fathers actually meant by some of the things that they stated in the Constitution. So you can see the English version of those rights, right of association, right to petition your government for redress of grievance. The right of due process would be enhanced in our version, but it began back there. Their right to keep and bear arms. That phrase from the English version becomes ours in the U.S. version. That's why Patrick Henry cried out for a stronger constitution, stronger in the sense of the protection for the individual, not stronger from the standpoint of more and more government, but something that was more strongly positioned to defend our properties, our names, our reputations, our persons from the egregious acts of government gone bad. Can you imagine if they had not emphasized, if we didn't have that kind of a heritage, well, we would be in deep trouble. Arguably, there'd be bloodshed in our streets. We as Christians have to understand that our Christian forebears were the ones that put these two versions in place, separated by a century. And the violation of those rights became one of the positions of our own founding fathers who said, look, we're English citizens, you keep violating them. That was one of the great causes of the War for Independence, folks.